Why is Naveen not saying anything?
Because it just started. And as usual, I'm into another episode of Injury Time. I am one of the two guys who have been around for a very long time, and I was missing. So, and it's been a little late because we planned on starting at 10 o'clock, and it is 7 because it takes time for us to get online. So, without wasting much time, Vishnu and Sandeep joins me. Orko is busy because with his life, because every one of us have. My internet is really slow. Yes, Sandeep, my internet is damn slow. I hope I am on track now and not lagging anymore. Am I fine? Hello.
Lagging a little.
I'm a lag. I'm lagging a little, but I think it will be sorted. Let's just jump right into it, okay? Without wasting much time, few things to discuss, guys. First up, two big ISL matches to talk is Odisha Chennai tomorrow, and then Mohan Bagan BFC later on in the game week. Two matches important could decide the course of these teams making the playoff or not. So we'll get into each of them. First up, Chennai and Odisha, Vishnu. Chennai and the kind of season they have had, and with six teams now making the playoff, it should have a straightforward way for at least for Chennai, if not for Odisha, right? But it's not been the case.
Yeah, I think we do, as we discussed in the previous podcast, Chennai, they seem to have a good coach. They're but thing is, they really haven't. It's been a very stop-start season for them. So, which is uncharacteristic of Chennai because usually, they are at least in the seasons that they've done well, with the exception of the second Matrasi season, if I'm not wrong, where they basically lost every game only to come back from behind, and they found themselves in a similar position. They, especially under John Gregory, they used to have a sort of consistency that has been missing. So, and again, a lot of their like players have individually had stop-start seasons. So it's not definitely not gone according to plan for them. But then that's how the league is.
Yeah, that's how the cookie
Naveen's getting
crumbles.
so much love.
Sandeep,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's,
people
Can
miss
it
me.
be Aaron's voice nice?
Actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone's like good to
I
see
don't
Naveen
really
back.
actually missed me. Okay. Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you. It was away because I was covering the World Cup in Odisha. Another sport, another World Cup. And yes, I'm back after that. Let's talk football. Sandeep, coming to you with Chennai. Uh, what do you make of their season? And just four wins so far. Not not the Chennai that we're used to seeing, right?
But Chennai has always been a club that is either hit or miss. Either they are in the playoffs or in the final, or they are somewhere at the bottom. But it shows the level of the league also that with this many wins only, you can still be in contention for the playoff spot. Because essentially, all you need to do is get into the top half. Not even six is really not. We are nitpicking here, but yeah, you just need a mid-table team to qualify.
Not
But I watched them last
exactly.
weekend, and a lot of the times the problem with that team is that they sort of create their own problems. They concede very stupid goals, make silly mistakes, and the coach yesterday that day was livid. He was talking like, what can I do when the players are making mistakes like this? These are not coaching errors. This is execution errors. So he's got a point there, but at the same time, you see second half they had a much more accomplished performance. They have players who can come off the bench and change the game. Edwin Sidney Van Spal. I don't why that guy doesn't start more games. I don't understand. I think he's a very good player. He understands how to play for Chennai, and also Thapa has been. Do you remember Vishnu? A few years ago, we were talking, and he is the guy who's going to take over the next big star. And
Yeah, we were all
although we
thinking of
all,
him as the next Chhetri, but then it's
yeah,
safe to say he
but in
hasn't got.
midfield.
Everyone has been.
Yeah, but the problem with him is he is capable. Every time I see him playing, I'm like, oh, he does one or two good things every game. But I feel like he has the skill to take the game by the scruff of the neck and then dominate for 5-10 minutes, elevate the whole team for a while. No? He just doesn't do that, and I think at this stage in his career, if he doesn't start doing it now, it might seem like it's a lost opportunity. We can't say he's a young player. Yes, he keeps getting Young Player of the Year award because there is nobody else in AFF to give it to, I guess. But he's gotten 2 or 3 times breakout player or young player or whatever that two for sure he's got. So
He's
yeah, I
breaking.
think we
Still,
can
is he
I
still
think
breaking?
there is this very cliche thing that people use when they evaluate European football and all, whereby they say teams take on the characteristic of their captains or their most important figures. And I think it's a very cliche thing, and it really doesn't. It's not much logic to it. But it won't be wrong to say that this Chennai team is sort of like a keeps blowing hot and cold, has it, but doesn't really go the distance. They're good in spells, but then they're bad in spells, and they keep making all sorts of silly errors that they really shouldn't be making. So yeah, I think that's a
and to,
that's
Well,
how I have to
the other
evaluate
team
it.
is Odisha, right? Odisha, they started like a house on fire. They were doing very, very good, but they seem to have lost. They've lost the momentum, and they have, I think, have not. I think one win in 5 games or something in the last round of fixtures, and that's really not good enough. They have sort of allowed a club like BFC to have hope that you can sort of come back. I think they are level on points. BFC with the game, one extra game. So this is
yeah,
probably going
BFC
down
with
to
a
the
game,
wire.
right? And Odisha, like in the last 5 matches, they have won just one. But overall, they have a better win record than compared to Chennai, because Chennai has won four. And like Sandeep, you said initially they had a good run, so they have mentioned at the beginning. Just answering a few questions in the chat. Hyderabad is Mumbai is a top of the table clash, Ashu. But like I said, with respect to making the playoff, Hyderabad and Mumbai are already there. So these two matches that we are talking about, Odisha and BFC, and
I mean, at the
Mumbai,
moment, all the
BFC,
conversation is whether
BFC,
Mumbai
and 80
can
game
go. What is?
unbeaten.
How far behind are you?
Oh my God, am I very
Okay, I'm
far?
going to show my fingers. Tell me when you see. Okay.
I won.
Oh my God.
I see
No,
one.
geez.
Oh, this is like watching TV, watching the television in the press box. You know the actions happened 30 seconds before.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now we can't cut him off because he wouldn't
Okay.
even have started the conversation when we cut him off. Okay.
All right, but we can continue a little bit about Odisha when I catch up with the lad. Odisha, like you said, started well, but soon lost steam, and now they're like for to make it to the top six.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, I feel like they are the ones who are going to miss out. It might be because historically they have not shown anything resembling consistency. Historically, they have not made it. I think one time they made a sort of an outside chance. They sort of got themselves out there. Had a 7 game unbeaten run or something under Joseph Gambao. But even then, it looked like they were never going to catch up. It just looked like they were trying to just do it and see what will happen. But yeah, they are free falling a little bit, and I worry for them. And the only positive thing I can say is that the next 4 games for Bengaluru FC are against really good teams, so that might give them a little bit of a chance that BFC might not take all those points. And that Mumbai is a game that is to be written off because the way Mumbai is playing, I think they are going to win it. Mohun Bagan is not an easy game. They're playing Kerala Blasters and FC Goa. All teams ahead of them. Goa also probably by that time probably looking to secure a position, up higher up the table to get a better seeding. So, yeah, I think that's the only positive you can look at and see for Odisha.
Well, yeah, that's about the team that is equal on points with Odisha is Bengaluru, who have who have played one game more, if I'm not wrong. Yes, yeah, they played Odisha, and they are up
They played
against one.
16, Odisha played 50.
Yes, and they play Bagan next this game week. Vishnu, historically, this game has been really interesting. This fixture has been really interesting because it has a lot of history. Bagan snatching the title in the I League days on the last day with uh I forget his name, the guy, the header in Gandirva, and then so on and so forth. Historically, a really pumped up match. With time, things have changed. Now we are in a situation where BFC is fighting to make it to the top. Bagan more or less looks certain, if I may say so.
I mean, I wouldn't say Baghan looks certain. If you remember the last podcast, we were asked to pick who would qualify, and my pick was Odisha and Baghan. But at the same time, Sandeep put across a very valid point that they've not actually been playing that well. So, on current, if you look at purely current form, then you definitely wouldn't put it past Bangalore FC to get a win or I mean,
I
given that,
think Bagan
yeah,
is missing Hugo Bomu and one more player, Ashik.
yeah.
Pretty
So,
significant misses.
yeah, and definitely, it still may be a bit too late for Bangalore because just because of the way the fixtures are stacked against them. But at the same time, I wouldn't exactly agree with the assessment that the matches against feature two clubs on opposite trajectories because both of them are in with a shout. Both of them are fighting for the same thing. And I think right now, I mean, based on current form, it's basically like a 50-50 call. I mean, Bagan has the team. They've spent so much money buying players they need, buying players they don't need. But at least this season, that hasn't translated onto the field. So yeah, it definitely is you know, it's a game to watch out for.
Well, Sandeep, Bagan has spent a lot of money to get in big players, and BFC already has players on big money. And one such player is Chetri, and there is a question coming in. Fans is, what's happening to Chetri at BFC this season?
Well, it's obviously the team. I think there is no multifaceted answer this one because you look at it one way that Sunil Chhetri has not performed as well as he used to do previously. Historically, he's always been among the goals this time. I don't know if he scored a goal this season. I'm not really sure, but maybe one. I'm not sure. I have to go and check. But he's not been among the goals, and the team. If you look at the last four games that they've won, they've played the same lineup. So once the team sort of starts getting into a rhythm, I think the coach is also reluctant to change, which makes sense because this is a winning combination. And there is actually a partnership that is growing with between Roy Krishna and Shiva Shakti, and maybe you want to continue to facilitate that because that's at the end of the day. Now suddenly you look at it like Roy is playing with confidence. He's scored a couple of goals. Shiva scored three goals. You have someone like Rohit Kumar who's come into the team, and he's always been one of those box to box guys who have been forced to play defensive midfield because in India generally that's what we do with the Indian midfielders who have different traits are also forced to sit. Like you saw multiple players who we saw as box to box players end up being holding midfielders because generally the that onus is given to a foreigner. But here, Rohit, he's been playing a little box to box. But to be fair to him, he's also added some aggression to his game. So that is paying dividends. He was always very timid. When you look at it in Kerala or Hyderabad, he didn't stand out as this potential, goal scorer or anything. But he has been in a good nick as well. So generally speaking, I think that partnership up front, they want to protect that. And I think at this time, Chetri on the wing doesn't make any sense because you need him up front to score the goals because he's not going to put those kind of shifts anymore, right? That he used to do when he was at his pomp, all the defensive work and all that he used to. At late 30s, you probably look at him as a little bit of a luxury player who can make the difference at the final third. And yeah, maybe last match he didn't come off the bench, and I saw him after the game. This hit me. I saw him after the game. I was writing my article for some reason. Something and all happened. I had to rewrite it, so I was there for longer than necessary. So I was sitting in the press box and writing, and you see the substitutes making the sprints, right? Who didn't play? And Chetri came to the byline. He was applauding the fans, and then he started trending, doing the sprints. And for a second, I was like, "Oh, that." I don't. I personally felt a tinge of nostalgia, and I saw that. I was like, he didn't get a chance to play, but at the same time, you could see his body language in the bench was very positive when Shiva was scoring. So Chetri, the leader and the captain, is probably still relevant to that team, but Chetri, the player, maybe is not at the same level. He is more of an impact player, in my opinion. So maybe I saw Roy for the first time. I paid so much attention to him because I wanted to see what he was doing. The whole team runs through him, and I say this because he is telling people where to pass. When he's passing the ball, he's already showing that side. Next pass is that side. He's reading the game. He's telling people. He's encouraging players who are trying to play back balls forward. And I don't know. He's got that leadership quality to him, which he saw in Bagan a little bit, which I haven't seen so much in the first half of the season. It's coming back. So, yeah, all of this combined together, I think, is the reason why Sunil Chhetri is not playing. And for India, we need him. We need him to be at his best.
Well, guys, there's one more. Yeah, there's one more question. If you can this, if Chetri also does better. In this case, Roy gets benched probably.
You have to look at it in a different way. As in, what is the end game here? Is it to get Chetri to play better, or is it to win? Because Chetri Shiva combo will be good, but I think on current form and the way things are going, Roy Krishna Shiva combo has to be better right now, at least. As Sandeep said, Roy is emerging as a pretty influential figure, and right now I think Chetri has is at a place in his career, or at least for India, I guess we have no other options. But for Bengaluru FC, there are options, and he has. I think right now it's up to him to come in and make an impact, rather than somebody who can keep Roy, like relegate Roy Krishna to the bench. I don't think he's there right now.
Cool. Well, more of that when we see on BFC. I think this is in Calcutta, not in Bangalore. It's an away game for BFC, right?
Yeah.
It reaches you after the lag. Just ask. How much is the
How
lag?
much is the lag? Dude, yes, yes.
All right, cool. So there's one more match, the big one, top of the table clash. Hyderabad, Mumbai. They come to the matches in Bombay. I won't be going because got other comments. Sorry about it. But top of the table clash. Can Mumbai continue their winning run? Can Hyderabad stop it? And like Ashu mentions, if Hyderabad is to win, then that opens up the race for the shield.
No. I don't think there is any race for the shield. Even if Hyderabad wins this, I think Mumbai is comfortably going to canter to that shield. It's the shield is done and dusted. The only question there is the reason why we didn't take this match as the one to talked right off the back is because this match is good for it's a top of the table class, blah blah blah. But Mumbai is so far ahead. The only question is, can they remain unbeaten? And this is probably the toughest challenge they're going to have. So you get over this hurdle. Invincible season is on for them.
All right, invincible season is on for Mumbai City FC is what says. But guys, that's not all the news happening in Indian football. There's a lot of off-the-field action also that's happened over the past few days. See, news again coming in from Bangalore. Sandeep, if you can take this. Two new appointments in BFC. First is Albert Roga coming back as a technical consultant, and then Darren Caldera been named the head of football or director, whatever the position
Director
is called.
football.
Yeah, first up, your thoughts on these two appointments, because to me it seems like out of the blue appointments. But I'll just leave it to you to share your thoughts, and then we can go deeper.
I mean, I knew this was happening pretty much the moment Mandar left. Immediately, you knew who was coming in. So, but again, it is not. It was told to me in confidence, so I basically kept quiet about it. But yeah, I mean, it. I think there are two. I really don't get some of the appointment in some sense, but at the same time, they want. I guess what the idea is that Bengaluru wants to have the ethos that they always had, which they have sort of lost in the last 2 3 years, right? And but bear in mind that we're talking about a club who had a very bad 3 years and still won one trophy, which is more than you can say about a lot of other teams who are having really good seasons who end up with nothing at all, right? How many teams can claim to have won trophy in the last 3 years? So, despite this, when you look at that team, the first BFC was like who played with that grit and vigor and had the mentality to get over the line in whatever way, shape, or form. And then Roka came to sort of fine tune and make aesthetically make it a much better sort of football. So the Roka appointment, I'm not really sure what is the idea. Maybe they are going to look at recruitment from foreigners through Roka because the best foreigners that BFC signed barring Johnny Manyongar, I would think came under Roka, right? So I think that might be one reason for him. Darren, like Ashu's mentioned here, I think it is a bit of an experiment. They are trying to bring somebody who has experience playing in the league, experience playing for this club, knows what it takes and what it means to play for Bengaluru, especially the time that he played. Who is very familiar with the powers of B, already having stayed in the club for a long time, and in some sense, who has constantly watched the games and is analyzing players because that's part of his job, right? So he's watched probably more games than any other person in the in Indian football, basically, other than some other coaches and things like that. He probably fits that bill, and yeah, I think
If my
I
lag
don't
can
know how
allow me,
long.
I need to stop you there and ask you this thing. Hope my lag has allowed me there. What is the actual qualification to be a director of football? Like, is
I
there
don't think there is any
a
particular
qualification?
qualification. No, there is no qualification per se. Lot of it is your experience. Lot of it is right place, right time. Lot of it is your connections that you maintain.
Especially in Indian football, there is no qualification because in ISL we've seen people who have people from all over the place occupy that post. So, like, we've had
Like, would
people with seemingly no connections to football occupy that post. So,
It is kind of hilarious that I have actually seen people fail upwards in Indian football. Like anywhere else, you fail in the third division, you go to a lower division or another third division, right? Here you go straight up to I League and I League, ISL and all. So this is the only league where you can sort of
the
fail upwards. Yeah, it's
I
insane.
think
But not to
apart
say
from,
this is let's not color Darren Caldera with this. He's a
yeah,
good guy. I think we should. I'm personally keeping an open mind. I had some conversation with him some time ago, and he made a lot of sense at that time when you were talking about building clubs and culture and things. So I'm looking forward to speaking to him and seeing what he can provide.
I think apart from all the things that Sandeep said, this also takes the heat of management for a while because everybody loves Darren, fans love Darren, so everybody's like now happy for now. So that added value is also there. But yeah, after that being said, fans are only going to give him so much of a honeymoon period, right? So sooner or later he'll
Yeah.
have to start delivering, and let's wait and see if he can. There's no reason to assume that he can't because, as
yeah,
Sandeep said, the guy like Darren has always been come across as somebody extremely knowledgeable and somebody who's extremely reasonable. So there's no reason to, especially in Indian football, there's no reason to assume he can't succeed. He probably will. So let's see.
yeah, probably like we just spoke about it. There is no set qualification for anyone who comes in. If you have good connections, if you can do the job, what is expected of
Yes,
you,
especially
and
in Indian football, it's more about contacts than anything else. And somebody who
right,
has been part of Indian football for so long, he has the contacts. So
And
absolutely.
look at
Like,
generally look at the director of football roles across the clubs. I don't know how many of them have a role for director of football, but I think Pradyum Reddy is doing a CEO. He's doing the similar job in Delco, and he's
well,
very
actually,
knowledgeable. Yeah, but let's not go there. I'm not
he
going
was
to
like,
go
I'm
anywhere
talking
close to that club
designations.
because
I'm
no,
talking
I'm not
designations.
going to go anywhere near that club because their recruitment and whatever they're doing make no sense to me.
Like,
You until
your
Kerala
statements are
Blasters
just
got
posting. They
Carolins,
give Kolkata fans to not subscribe to our channel, Sandeep.
yeah, until Kerala Blasters got Carolins in case they had some helter skelter signings. But you look at somebody like Ravi Puskar who was in that club in a different role, but has sort of got into this role of director of football sort of role, and he's doing a fantastic job,
but at
making
the
good
same time,
signings, improving players.
with Kerala, Varun was there and he didn't do too well at Kerala, but now he's gone to Hyderabad and he's doing a pretty amazing job. So you can never say, right?
I am going to give 100% of that credit to Manolo. Okay, I'm just going to say this.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Sandeep, you just touched upon the role that fans could probably give Darren. Yes, everyone is happy because every fans love Darren. The team knows Darren knows the team. He's been there. in the past and been in constant touch. But this brings us to the next topic, basically the fan culture in India, and how much do clubs and even the national federation, the AIFF, admits that such a thing exists and also respects it, because over the years, over the period, we have seen fans demanding basic things. I'm saying basic things like with national teams, like when is the Indian national team, or if the national team is playing, can we watch them play? Is there a telecast? Is there a stream? These are basic information. Communication most of the time has been non-existential, and this has also led to a lot of remorse from the fan side. Even in the Kerala fans do what they did a few years ago to protest. Then you've seen other sets of fans. East Bengal fans right now are like super duper unhappy with the team. So things have been held together when it comes to addressing fans and considering them as stakeholders in this entire ecosystem of Indian football, Sandeep.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the biggest stakeholder for all of this is the fans. And I think for a long time, we have ignored them. We always say, oh, fans are great, fans are this, fans are that, and then do nothing to help them or facilitate a growth of a fan culture also in some sense. But at the end of the day, you're looking at these teams, right? And you're thinking, uh, Mohan Bagan, East Bengal, known, renowned for their fans. Sometimes for the negative things also, but they're always been known to be passionate fans. So we see Kerala Blasters also, another passionate fan group, and there are many other clubs. I'm just saying these three because I think they have the biggest visual impact in the league or in the for a few years now. But the question is, what are they doing? Because you can't protest anything. You can't make T4s. People have been asked to take off banners. And I don't know, man. At the end of the day, I feel the fans should be allowed to do their own thing. Like you read about what happens in Italy with the fan culture and everything. It goes into a mafia a little bit, and all that is too much. And the same with Varvas in Argentina and all that. Those are very extreme cases, but they all have their own fans. Have their own fans, right? There is that famous Manchester United Indian group who used to sit behind Alex Ferguson. I'm sure,
The
being a
Sikhs.
United fan, we still remember those Punjabi guys.
The three sick people, yeah,
Yeah,
they
so
always
they
used to
have
say.
their own fans, and they're part of that fixture and that culture. And I recently saw a video of Kerala Blasters fans singing their song to Luna. It felt so nice to see one guy who's standing in front with the microphone or whatever. I don't know if he had a microphone, but I think he had the loudspeaker or something. And he is the head. He is the guy who conducts the whatever is happening on the field. There has to be an orchestrator for the fans to sing songs and everything, and that's a very coveted position world over. He's a very influential guy in the fan culture, in the fan groups of different clubs, everywhere. So the one of the more poetic lines I read in a book was how this one person who sort of raises the whole fans and cheers the fans on to scream at the team and to push them on. He never sees the game because he has his back turned to the game. He's looking at the fans and sort of doing like the orchestra conductor, right? He's doing the whole thing, and he never sees the game, and that's a sacrifice that he has to make. This is a very romantic way of saying, but in India, I don't know how many of them are being helped. Is there any media liaison at any clubs? I think BFC does fairly well with their fans and interactions and things. But Vishnu, do you know any clubs who have something like this?
Not exactly. BFC is the only example that comes. There are a lot of fan clubs that try to do this, but from the club side, I don't think there is much of an encouragement, I guess.
Well, I
Yeah,
think we are
at some
expecting
point.
a bit too much from the clubs, because as fans, like this, like I say this out of experience. In Odisha, when I was watching the World Cup, I did not watch every from the press box. I was in the stands for a few of the matches, and over the past 2 seasons, I've watched a few of the ISL matches in different venues as a fan and not from the press box. One thing I have to say here is taken for granted. And I understood this when I was in Odisha, because I knew what taking it meant there, because you had simple things like easy access stadium, easy access to toilets, easy access to drinking water. These things are available, and in other stadiums, in football stadiums in India, these things are not available. How easily can you get to your seat in a stadium? How safe are you in your seat in the stadium? How clean is the toilet in the freaking stadium? Stadiums, the commode into which you pee is broken, or the divider between modes is broken. Like toilets are not clean; they are not taken care of well. So to me, it seems like we are just talking about things too or ahead, where basic necessities for fans are not taken care of, are not addressed. And this is not just football. This goes beyond this. Basically, every single sporting event that happens in this country. You take cricket. In most of cricket, there is a big grill in front of the pitch, and it seems like fans are what pigeons or animals in a zoo when you're watching a match. That's the experience that you get.
That I don't have a problem with.
As a fan, you should have a problem with that. Why do you need a cage? Like
No,
you do
but
not trust.
if you are, it's also for the protection also, right? It's not just in India. World over, there
It's
are
no, no,
sort of
no, 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 no. I
what
went for the
no.
Qatar World. I
Like
went for the
not a
Qatar,
single stadium in Argentina will be without the grills.
but I went for the Qatar World Cup. Not a single stadium had the grills.
Qatar World Cup it won't have. At the
It
World
was a
Cups and all it
freaking
won't
World
have.
Cup.
No, there it won't have.
Why
You will
not?
not see. No,
If
no,
if
no.
if it is to do with the security of the players, so security of the players at the World Cup is of par there, right? There it should be
Yes,
a
there will
rule
be
that you
more
need
people
to
looking
have
after
grills.
the security also.
Whom? Looking after whom? Security
Security.
in India.
I think,
Security is high.
think
Stadium security is highest in India.
Ah, so that's
no,
good, no?
area security is not definitely not highest in India for sure because
Yeah.
if you look at
From
any European leagues, the involvement of the local police is much more. Like if I'm telling you there
police,
is an incident in an ISL,
police
in
to
an
the best
ISL
of
match, there is no way the police will be able to control it. But in UK and all these places, there are actually enough police, law enforcement inside the stadium to control events.
no.
So
From
if
what
that
I've
is what you're
understood, from
referring to,
what I've
basically.
seen inside the stadium, those are stewards. Those are not police. Your police is outside. Those guys inside the stadium do not have right to arrest you. But here in India, cops are you can be arrested from your freaking seat in the stadium. That's the security you're talking about. That's the kind of safety are you talking about. We do not basic
But
necessities
I
for
I
fans.
think I think
that is not really
arguing
that's
about
not an adequate measure, right? You need to have enough. If you like you've seen a lot of ISL games. How many police people are in the how many security people are in the stadium as a whole in any ISL game or any Indian football game?
Not
Like
many.
if a
Yeah,
person
they haven't.
jumps from their section to some other section, who stops them? Nobody does.
No one.
Exactly. So
so why not have
like
that? That's why the point we are saying grill. How many times have we seen in the cricket team? Wait. Naveen, you can't talk in between because you get cut off and then the whole thing goes off because you don't know when you're talking, right? Because of the lag. So the number of times you see in cricket, the people are coming in to run Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli, it's growing more and more and more, and this is increasing world over. So if you have to put us a little bit of a grill in front, especially for cricket, right, where the ball is
Your
going to fly
cage,
straight at your face, it's fair. It is fine. That I think
your,
is okay.
why,
We are looking
why
at the
does it
fan
happen only in
experience.
India? Only in India. Exactly. My fan
No,
experience
it
is
doesn't.
hampered because of this.
There are grills. Do you know when Boca Juniors and River Plate they play the
Does
games?
the Lords
Wait.
does the Lords have grills? Oval have grills.
That's a
Does the
cricket stadium, da. We are
Old Trafford
talking about
Stadium have
football.
grills? You just gave a cricket example. Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli's fan following increase, and that is the
That was to
reason
say
you
that
need this.
people
That's what you
running
just
onto
said.
the field.
Does the
The
does
people
the
running on the
MCG have
field.
a grill? Does the MCG have a grill?
Dude, what this argument is asinine at this point
It's not.
because
It's not.
we
In India,
are
we
looking at
treat
no.
people like we don't treat people with humanity. That is the problem here. And
I
this is
don't know, dude.
not
I have
only to do
seen.
with the stadium.
I last year I went to the stadium and saw one guy getting killed. Okay, I mean I didn't see him getting killed. That guy got killed in the stadium. He chased him from outside to inside. He jumped off, ran in, and went to the
Yeah.
referee's room or something, and that's where he got killed. This is not
Or
normal.
so nothing is. I'm not saying having grill is not have. You need if you have to control, you have to find another way. It's like say this is
Which
As
football
simple
stadium
as
has
saying,
grill?
okay, exactly my question. Which football stadium has a grill?
No, I'm asking you. No, you brought it up. So, which football
Every
stadium in India has?
every single football
Yeah,
stadium in the
actually,
country has a grill.
certain sections have nets, but at
But
least
those
Yeah,
are, I
having a
mean,
net in front of it is not exactly a rare
Continua has
practice.
a
I mean,
grill.
there are a
that's an
lot of
athletic
stadiums
stadium,
there that
da.
put a
Like
net involved.
it's
It's
not
not
football
exactly
stadium.
a
They have other things to do there.
yeah.
How many football stadiums in the country where matches
Not
happen?
many, that's the point.
So how,
There's
there
not
aren't
many.
enough stadiums. I'm talking about the stadiums in which football matches happen and people football. I'm talking
I know.
about
So
those.
if it's an athletic stadium, they will have something on the side. That is
Which
understood.
athletic stadium has grill, dude? Only in India this can't exist. Nowhere else does. You and me
Hey,
went to Doha
we are talking
to
about
cover
India.
cover
No,
it.
so let's talk about
So I'm
India.
saying, and that's what I'm saying. In India, we don't treat fans as humans. That's exactly my point. We treat them like
Fine.
animals in a cage.
Okay, grill is the worst shit ever. But let's continue to something else now. As in the other part of fan
So
engagement.
basically, basics fan engagement is step two, step three. Your basics are not. You don't have clean toilets in the stadium, dude.
I remember the under
See, that
17
let's
World Cup.
speak about those things.
Yeah,
Your
and
seats
like
you
forget drills. I mean, people can
certain sections
like
certain sections
coexist with
of
that,
the
but
stadium.
lack of toilets,
Yeah.
you can't do that. I
How
remember
many
the
stadiums
under
are
17 World Cup.
disabled friendly?
Is he on our
Hey,
conversation or?
you talked, Lavin. You can wait.
No, I know. I don't think you are with us. I think you are like
Okay, you carry on. You carry on.
a few seconds behind us.
Yes, I
No, so
know.
what I was saying is, see,
So
grills are okay. That's one thing, but I think basic stuff like toilets are even like one of the most high-profile football matches held in the country, which was the opening game of the Under 17 World Cup in 2017. There were a big problem with the toilets. The toilet, all of them were broken. All of them were a lot of complaints came regarding the toilet, and this was excuse me, this was an event which featured who's who of world football and the Indian Prime Minister as well. So if in a match like that you can't be bothered to take care of the fans, then when are you going to take care of the fans? I reported for what like ever since ISL started, my the stadium that I've been to the most was the is the Jawaharlal Nehru Stadium in Chennai. There are like at least half the times, I'm not even exaggerating, the toilets are flooded when you try to go. So it's thing is taking care of fans, thinking about fans. That is not a thing in India. That's not a thing in India across any sports.
and it is across sports. It's
It's
not just
just
football.
assume that you do your sport and the fans will come because they've got cricket as an example, and that sort of a culture is not there. But we and it's not been there right from the top. If you look at football, the AFF doesn't give any damn about the fans. It's historically been the case. I mean, they schedule Santosh Trophy matches at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of summer. They do so. It's like if you want to come, watch. Otherwise, don't come. We don't really care. That's been the attitude throughout for at least the last 30 years.
Yes, and before we got distracted by the grills and that fight went somewhere, which I'll have to edit out for the for the audio podcast. I want to. This was the thing, right? We are looking at a federation who refuses to put out details of telecast well ahead of time, who or when they put out the telecast, half the time the telecast doesn't happen sometimes, so people can't watch it either way. And then yes, they're scheduling it at asinine hours in random places, like you mentioned, tournaments happening morning, afternoon, evening, and all, when nobody is free on weekdays instead of weekends. Things of this nature. And even the clubs, somebody mentioned Mumbai does a good job in fan interactions, and if they do, fantastic for them. I think that ethos probably comes from from the city football group and what they know and how they need to build a fan base. So that's probably where that's coming from. And most of the other clubs don't. Maybe Kerala also do, because they desperately need their fans and their fans love that club. So that has to be some sort of a symbiotic relationship. But a lot of the fans and the teams don't. Now you see the protest that East Bengal fans had to do over the last, say, 2 years of very different manner, and how unhappy they are even now. It seems like if they really wanted to change things, they would have communicated a little bit more, try to pacify them, tell them what is happening. I mean, it's very common abroad to have a fan engagement liaison officer or something who will be able to communicate with the fans saying this is the club's plan, or once in a while the clubs the fans are able to talk to ask questions to the club as well, because for fans the investment is time and money, right? And that's the most important thing in the world. So you are putting the two of the
Is
most
there
important commodity. Yeah, exactly, that's the culture that we have to say, and that's one that we someone told us to talk about in Twitter. We got a message, that's why we brought this topic out. And yeah,
Any
I agree with
performance? You have the Super Cup, right, in Kerala, and it's supposed to
Hmm.
be in April. We'll see how many matches are there at 3 o'clock in the evening when it's going to
In
be really hot.
April.
April, yeah, exactly. So not, then you'll know how much the federation cares.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish they did, because you had these historically dominant clubs, East Bengal fans. That's a relationship that comes from father to son, or mother to son, or daughter, or whatever it is. It's a family lineage that comes through. And those kind of relationships should be protected. And we don't do anything to protect them, to invite them. Now, recently, a friend of mine came to a BFC match for the first time. He was shocked to see the amount of women actually at the stadium. And I know Kantira Stadium is not the most cleanest, or I don't know about the uh, overall level. I've seen few of their toilets, and they are okay. Nothing great, but this club every year they spend money on fixing the toilets, because one way or another the toilets are broken. So, but the point is that the women should feel comfortable there. No, and you were surprised to see women, and it's we need to get more women, more children, all of them want into the stadiums, and for that you need to give them a safe environment, whatever shape or form that takes, and in give them opportunities to come and reasons to come. So it just feels like we just assume the fans will show up because that's what the fans do. But we have seen sports die in different countries because they did not pay attention to the whole ecosystem. So, yeah, I think at some point they'll have to do something else. Because in Delhi and all, nobody comes, right? Nobody comes. Even you look at a cricket match, also Ranji Trophy match, nobody comes. A Test match, very few places you get a decent amount of crowd. Most of the Test match, it's all television based, and that's okay. But for football, if you need the ambience, you need fans, and they are a major part of the show. And we saw it during COVID that the sport is willing to move on without fans. We saw that they were able to do, closed house. You can have music at the background, and one very quick fingered man to press the button when the goal goes in, to have the roar of the crowd. So you can do all those things for a television product, and you know that the sport will go in that direction if it has to. But how different was it when the fans actually came back and we saw the tournament? It's really not the same. So we just have to figure it out in one way, shape, or form. Yeah.
treat people like human. That's about it. Yeah. With I think on that note, historical significance of fans and all, talking about history and Indian football, they are trying to revive a few tournaments. First up, Stafford Cup getting revived
Yeah.
this season onwards.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. Good to see the tournament back. 30 years, I think, since 1993, it was the last that was held. It's a tournament that goes to 1928 or something when it started, or maybe early 30s. So this is a very old tournament, the oldest in South Asia. I mean, South India, definitely one of the oldest in India as well. And I've always banked or mooted for the idea that you need to have more of these tournaments, no? Because India is such a big country. Just tournaments that so Bangalore football. I was talking to people and they were all so excited because it's back. Because the old people who grew up watching that tournament, that was a time when they saw Mohan Bagan and they saw Mohammedan Sporting and all these big teams, HL obviously from here. All these bigger teams, Benny Hills, all of them come here and play, and that is an opportunity. That was the biggest tournament that happened in Bangalore, and that's where they saw very high level football. So there, a lot of people are excited that it's back. back in a short way. I mean, in a small manner this time. Hopefully, I mean, they're trying to get it into the AFF calendar next year. Hopefully, as a preseason tournament or something like that, so that more clubs can come. Now, this is convenient for a second division team. You play the 3 games mandatory, and if you proceed, you play a maximum of 5 games. See your team, and then go on to the second division. So it's convenient for teams like FCBU, Delhi FC, Dempo. All of them are looking at it as a good preseason tournament. So hopefully next year it can come around Duran Cup or before or after, or somewhere where big clubs can come. And next year I think they were looking to invite foreign teams as well. So let's see how that
And
goes. Hopefully it kicks off. Yeah.
probably like with time we'll see more such tournaments being revived. Yes, but there's one more we need to talk about before we wrap, because January just ended, which means the transfer window just ended, and in India as well. Few that I remember, Udanta joining Goa. There's a swap deal between Glan and Lenny, Mohan Bagan, and FC Goa, and then Danish has joined Kerala, if I'm not wrong. So few signings here and there, Vishnu.
Yeah, I think especially the Danish to Kerala signing has created like caused a lot of chatter online. People are like looking to waiting to see how he'll fit in the system. And if people who followed Real Kashmir in the I League will know that Danish Farouk is a very talented footballer. There's no doubt that the talent is there, but for whatever reason, he has not had the best of times in Bengaluru. And if he can rediscover his best, I think that'll be the I think when we discussed the top four hopes last night, there was a bit of a thing going on around Kerala's injury troubles and how that might just about cause them to miss out on the top four and if miss out on the playoff spot. And I think if Danish can click, if he can slot in straight and put in some performances, then they have a very, very good. It'll end up being a very good move for both him and both for the club.
That was Danish. But Sandeep, Udanta going to Goa could be a new lease of life for Udanta, because he's had a difficulties with Bangalore of late, right?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for him because I think he needs to get out of Bengaluru. I think Goa is banking on the fact that he can come there and rediscover the old form because he's been here 9 years now. I guess he came in the second season, so and he's never been truly challenged, right? Until he was out of the team, he was never truly challenged. He was no, he was permanent on the right wing. Even when you bought somebody like Ashik, you ended up playing him as a left back instead of directly head to head. So yeah, it seems interesting. It's a gamble from Goa, but Goa does they do tend to take that gamble, and hopefully it works out for both. Because I think for him it's important that he makes a move. And as far as that Glenn Martin's thing is very interesting for me because Glenn was not
Well,
really playing
another
much.
move that
So,
Goa is also involved in. Yeah, I was just about to talk
pardon?
about that.
What is he saying? What did he say?
Naveen,
Okay, I'm just going to talk because I don't know what he's waiting for. But yeah, so
Ignore the lag.
So Lenny coming to Goa, it's a good move for Goa
That
because
I was
they
just saying
like
that I was
someone
about
like
to talk about Glenn and Lenny, the swap. Seems out of the me.
ah okay. So Glenn moving to ATK Mohan Bagan seems like a good move for Goa because he was not playing anyway, and they're shipping him off. He's going to a place where, generally speaking, he has a coach who has trusted him before, so maybe he might be able to play a little more over there. Lenny comes to a club where he knows the what is his name? Carlos Pena. He's played with him. He knows the ethos of the club, and it's a short-term deal. It's only till the end of the season, I think. After that, if he does well, he might get an extension. Otherwise, it's a clean break. So it's a win-win for Goa as far as I'm concerned. That's an interesting move. That's a move a smart director of football makes. Man, Naveen is so far behind, dude. Or is he not paying attention that he's just doing
All
something
right.
I
else?
think he's.
I am paying attention. It's not I'm not paying attention. I'm paying good attention. Okay. I think that was the end of this episode. If we have anything else to talk about, and it's 50
I
minutes.
think
We
he
thought
was
of keeping
waiting to
it
say that.
below an hour. This below an hour. I'm so proud of ourselves.
You can take a couple of questions then. Let's
Let us
round.
wrap up.
Do you,
No, I have
a
to
couple of
go.
nice questions.
Okay,
Do you think
we can take
Reliance
the
and
Changte question. Since
yes,
Changte question.
he has been the best Indian
On
player.
this day is when take the Changte question.
He is the
He's
best
on the
Indian
top of the
player in the
season.
league, as per me. Topper of the season might be he. No, there is no reason that he can't. But I do think Foreigner will end up being the top scorer. But if there is ever a chance, I think this is
Oh,
as good as any for an Indian player.
cool. That about Changte Lions, young talent, champs hype, or will it fade away? Anyone, dude, like Vishnu, Sandeep, anyone can answer this
There is hype. I don't know. No. So again, oh wow, Sandeep, like he just heard that. I said that 30 seconds ago, man. Like, I was like, okay, is it my joke that was like too slow to go, or is it like the lag making that audience understand it, man?
Yeah, I need to switch to Geo.
Yeah, so no. See, I mean, you can. I think it's very well accepted fact that youth development in India is currently not done right, and yeah, you may be able to marginally produce marginally better players, but unless you're taking somebody at say 6 years old and giving them regular games and regular coaching till they are like 20, this it's not going to happen. Like this dream of us getting to the World Cup or bridging the gap between us and world football, that's not going to happen. And as far as I know about the Reliance Young Champs, they are not doing that. They are doing something which is better than nothing. But are they doing youth development the way European teams do youth development? No, they are not. So I mean, so the hype is something that can be created and may not exactly be like the situation may not
Question
merit
marks
the
all
hype.
around that.
And yeah, if you're expecting that this sort of a youth setup will get you to the World Cup or get you to be a top 5 or 6 team in Asia, then you are in for some disappointment. That's all I have to say.
I think there is something about Reliance Young Champs in the sense that this is a they are actually trying to do something nice. I know the people working there. They are trying to sort of improve or increase the number of tournaments that are happening. I think there are you will hear in the next 1 year few of the things that they are planning. It's in the early stages, but it's going to happen. Few more tournaments, a few more developmental academies, and things are going to come up. But I honestly don't know if there is any hype, like you mentioned. I mean, in Indian football, generally there is only hype. So I hope there is no hype about these kids, and they can come and do. Because one or two of them you hear, right? Like look at Nemil. A lot was expected of him last year. He's coming from I think Reliance Exams only. Good player. Is injured. I think the season has not had a good run of you know games to show what he's worth. So you never know how these things work out. So yeah, hype. I mean, we have no problem with hype.
I think Naveen will tell you this because he's been for. I know he follows basketball, but didn't IMG have a very similar program in India 10 years ago that was very similar to what Reliance are doing? And did that end up taking Indian basketball anywhere? No. I mean, so, mm, yeah, Naveen's not hearing a word
You
of what
just
I
should
said.
not ask Naveen any of this.
They did. Yeah, they had the India Academy. No, no. It just ended up bringing a lot of NBA stars to India.
But that was an NBA move, no, not an IMG move.
No,
NBA
the
continues to
IMG
do
had
the
some
same.
sort of an
Did it reach
academy.
you?
that's a sort of an academy, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
Any of it
Yeah,
is
but look, two,
eh,
three of them went on to do something
no, it's
like
the
come close to NBA,
IMG
right? I
NBA
don't know if
Academy. It
that.
happened together in Delhi.
So did they? Two or three of them ended up being somewhere close to NBA, never going to play in the NBA, but went to the US, and I think one fellow went to
Satnam
Australia.
Singh. Satnam Singh was the. I think his name was Satnam Singh, right?
Yeah, his name is Satyan Singh. But then one went to Australia
If,
also. I don't remember the name.
if
Principal Principal Singh was
they
another.
played the G League,
Yeah.
the
Which
G
is
League, D League,
way
whatever it's
more
called.
than it's G. It was D before. It is G now.
So they played the G League, D League,
Yeah.
but not
So
many game time even there.
no, of course not. They're not good enough. At the end of the day, that's a massive level to climb up. We've covered Asian championships, no, in basketball.
Absolutely.
My God, the
I have
Japanese can
sang the
play
national anthem
basketball.
of Sri Lanka.
Yeah, Australians can play, Kiwis. They're all very good. So yeah,
Yep. Well, there's one more question, Vishnu, if you want to take this. Thoughts on Jigsaw and Danish combo at Kerala?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I kind of already touched upon this when I was discussing Danish. It's a move that's good on paper. We've seen that Danish has the talent. We've seen that that is technically, like, on paper, that's a move that can work. But then will it work? We'll have to wait and see, because again, Danish was supposed to hit big time when he came to Bangalore. He didn't. He did not have that much of a good time here. So let's see if he can do something differently in Kerala. I think it'll be important for him, as somebody was mentioning, that if he does well, then he has a chance of getting himself into Asia Cup squad consideration. That may not be too wide of the mark. If you followed the last podcast that we did, we made a 50 people, 50 man shortlist for the Asia Cup squad, and Danish Farooq was nowhere on it. So right now, so that is where he is right now. But you never know what a good season and a good season and a half can do. So let's see. I mean, definitely has the talent. Can he succeed? That's another story.
Yep. Well, it's a wait and watch game for Danish, and so will we wait and watch, and so should you for the next episode, because it's time for us to wrap
can I
up
end?
and to answer
Can I end with the
Hamek.
story on Darren?
Yeah, yeah. Just wrap up because I'm lagged.
Yeah, this is. I thought we'll just end with this because a lot of people were talking about Darren earlier, right? So we were also talking about fan interaction. So back in the early days, Bengaluru FC had a day out with the fans and everything. So they organized the media football match also. So between the media teams, so they also gave two captains. One was Darren, one I think was John Johnson. I don't remember. I think it was John Johnson. Darren was my team's captain, and we were playing first. So it was 15 minutes. Our first 15 minutes, I was everywhere. And then at halftime, he came and told me, just keep playing like this. And I was like, Darren, I am done. I can't run anymore. So this is the end of the game for me. And this we will not be playing at any high intensity after this. So I'm going to stand next to the goalkeeper now. And I remember his face thinking, 15 minutes you can't play. So yeah, he's a very affable guy in that sense. So I always remember him for that disgusted look he had on the face, and he realized that I couldn't last for more than 15 minutes playing football.
I think you should wrap up, Sandeep.
I will only
I
wrap
want you
it up.
to wrap up.
Yes, on
Yeah.
that note, no, no, I will only wrap it up. There is no point in waiting for him. On that note, we are just going to end this. And I just need to say I quit smoking, and since then I've been able to play 1 hour. So that's everybody. If you are smoking, please stop smoking and continue to play football. That's the way you have to live life. Uh, and do the like, share, subscribe, all that good things. Now that Naveen is back, I hope our social media will be more active, and we will also. And we already seen that today. I saw one of his tweet. It was like, oh, he's back in action. And yeah, so we'll also put this out in podcast as soon as possible. Until next week, thank you to Vishnu, thank you to me, and thank you to Naveen as well. And hopefully he'll fix the lag and reduce my effort while editing the podcast. So Naveen, please cut.